Manga Cavalcade, where we talk about things. I have been having to jerry-rig my setup to actually do all of the shit that I needed to properly. Oh no, don't move that. Oh no, yeah, that's just how it is. Okay. Okay, that should work. Sorry for the TikTok audience if everything looks a bit scuffed. Unfortunately, I tried to get into communication with TikTok, and they were going off being like, I was like, Streamlabs tried to like have me reapply to do it, because I multi-stream on a lot of places, but I usually stream on TikTok through Streamlabs, and Streamlabs was like, your ability to stream on TikTok on our platform, it got revoked. And so I sat there like, well, what the fuck? That's a little weird. I should have the ability to stream on TikTok pretty fucking normally, if I might ask. And so I sat there talking to them, being like, hey, why can I not stream on TikTok? And Streamlabs was like, that's not an us issue. That's actually a TikTok issue. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went over to TikTok and I said, hey guys, I can't stream on your platform through Streamlabs. What's the issue? And they originally said, oh yeah, you can't do that because, you can't do that because you need like 50 followers and you need to be 18. Context, I'm 27 and I've been at 1,000 followers for a long time now. Which, by the way, I need to make a proper video, but thank you guys for, getting me to 20, thank you guys for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. You have no idea how much I appreciate that love and support. I love it so much. I appreciate it, and it's nice. It's nice. It's very, very nice that you guys got me there. And I can't wait to continue to grow with you guys alongside me, because it's nice. But nevertheless, I was off doing that stuff, and apparently, I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, this is my account. I confirmed the fact that I am 27, and I confirmed the fact that I have more than, more over than 50 followers. So, do you want to help me in explaining what the fuck is going on? And so I talked to them, and they were just like, oh yeah, we can't really tell you why you can't do it. Just apply within 30 days, and after 30 days, it should work. I was so confused. I was like, wait, you want me to do what now? You want me to just do that after 30 days? What the fuck? So, regardless, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Because we are back with another episode of the Manga Cavalcade. I just needed to go on that little bit of a rant because that kind of annoyed me and I needed to know. So, I'm streaming on TikTok, but I'm streaming on TikTok through its own streaming thing, which, to be fair, is very useful. I had to jerry-rig some stuff, so if stuff looks weird, do not be surprised that things look weird. I haven't fixed it, and this is very, very much a jerry-rigged set. But we are here. We are down to clown, and so let us go ahead and talk about the manga that we are talking about today, which is We Make Monsters. I have been sitting on this manga for like God knows how long. I want to say well over 6 months at the very least, because I tried to buy it. I tried to buy the manga when Cory first announced it. Didn't get the chance to get a signed one, unfortunately. Those motherfuckers went fast. But I was able to get a physical copy. I got one. I ordered it, I think, sometime around December, when I think that's when he first put out the video. And then I got my copy all the way back in March. I got it back in March. It was either February or March it came. And then I have been sitting on that manga for like, God, months. And that's mainly because during the time I was already watching just so many things at the time. I just didn't have too much time to read manga. Obviously, things have changed a little bit. The way I operate changed a little bit. The way I do things has changed a little bit. So I have more time to actually consume manga and actually do manga stuff and whatnot. So that's good for me. I'm happy about that. So I thought for my first official episode of the Manga Cavalcade, I would actually go ahead and talk about We Make Monsters. Because A, I've been sitting on it for a long time. B, it's a story I want to read. It sounded really interesting when I first heard it. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck, why not? Like, this sounds cool. This sounds interesting. This sounds awesome. And so I read it. I binged the first volume in one night. And I definitely have some thoughts on the whole manga. First off, obviously, if you didn't know, this manga is made by Cory X Kenshin. Pretty fucking big YouTuber. He definitely has that anime aesthetic. I don't think he's the first, I don't think he's the first person to make a manga like this. I think the RDC World guys, I think they have their own manga. But I know he's not the first one. But he's definitely, I would argue, is the biggest one. Because this one got a lot of traction. A lot of people came to talk about it. A lot of people were talking about it, like, super early on, too. People were talking about it really, really big. Like, really early on at a certain point. So I definitely sat there and I was just like, oh, okay. He has, like, we're talking about, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. So I sat there, I'm like, oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Why hella people want to talk about this. I kind of wanted to wait a little bit before I actually said anything, mainly because I know just like hella people were going to watch, and I was like, okay, how about we pause a little bit. Before we actually, pause before we actually, like, do something. And so, I finally read it. I have some thoughts. First off, I really like the beginning of this book, of the first volume, because it sets up the world properly. It gives us the whole idea of what happened. It's short, it's sweet, it's nice, it's like snappy, right to the point. I really like the way that they handle that whole aspect, because I know a lot of people would get bogged down on like the world and all that stuff. And trust me, I'll have my issues with other stuff like that. But overall, in terms of the beginning, I think it's cool. We introduce, like, kind of just how the world works, how the world operates, how it's different from, like, the normal world that used to live in. I think it's really good. And I think they display the type of horrors that our future characters are going to get to in actually, like a pretty decent way. Like, I sat there, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of hooked. I'm very interested in this as well. I'm very interested. I see what you're doing here. And I'm fucking with it. And I'm ready to check it out. Obviously, it's Cory X Kenshin, so you're gonna get. So, like, if you, and I know we don't have a lot of them, but if you were looking for a manga that is just very, like, it has a good amount of black representation. I know that's a big thing for some of us. This manga's gonna have it. Like I said, this is Cory's manga, so I'm not surprised. Main character, black. One of the main side characters, black. One of the main people who get marked off very early in that very opening scene, black. So that's cool. And you can see that there's a lot of the aesthetics and stuff like that and whatnot. Overall, I like the art of this. I think the art for the manga is really cool, actually. It's weird. Okay, so I've seen this with a lot of non-Japanese mangas that have come out. There's another one that I do want to talk about at some point. It's called 10 Pins. It's another manga made by a black creator. And it's a manga that revolves around like bowling and stuff like that. And I kind of got the same vibe when I saw that one and I see this. These mangas to me feel like they have like a really good blend of Western and Eastern art styles. Like, obviously, you could see the anime and like the anime and manga art inspiration clearly. But like, there's also an undertone of like some comic book stuff, and I see it more with certain specific characters. Definitely, I feel like more of the male characters have that aspect, where it's like, oh, you have like these certain, like, it's like obviously you have the anime style stuff, but also like if you like made this into like a comic book issue, I could also totally see this like that aesthetic there too. If this was animated, I could see We Make Monsters, if it were ever to get an adaptation, actually have that big ass, like, I could see like an anime of this sparking over the fact of whether this would be considered anime or manga. Because on one hand, I could see this being considered like just it's anime full stop. But at the second time, I could see a lot of people making the argument in the sense of, oh, this seems like this would be something that you'd play on like, oh my god, I don't want to say 4Kids because that's an insult. This is way better. It does not deserve to be on 4Kids. Whatever. WB Kids. There we go. WB Kids. Right next to like the Static Shocks and like the Freakazoids. Like, it would slot somewhere right there because I feel like it has that aesthetic. Which again, it's not bad. Maybe it might be a little bit of an insult depending on if you would look at it, depending on how you want to look at this manga. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool with the way that it's setting it up and it's doing all that stuff. I think it's awesome. But yeah, the beginning hooks you. We get introduced to our main character, Jabari. He moved to the city of Eden, which is called New Eden. We get his first little introduction. Something, and you know what? Thank God they don't do it. They do not do this very early on. Oh, they do this very early on, and they don't really do it again. And I 100% appreciate the fact that they do not keep up with it. But something that they were doing pretty constantly was the fact that they were having a lot of the side conversations of like background characters being shown. So there's like one point where Jabari's, I think he's on a train or bus, and we see everybody's messages on like what I would assume it's called B/here, and I can't, like, obviously it's supposed to be like a social media platform, but I can't tell if it's just supposed to be like generic social media or if it's supposed to be a play on -B from like 4chan. I can't tell. Maybe I'm just way too chronically online, but it looks like it's supposed to be a play on the -B board on 4chan, which does maybe akin to it makes me want to lean more into that idea that it does do that, mainly because of the topics that they talk about, the like focus around how the monsters work, the focus on how the power system works, and all that type of stuff. So I can kind of sort of see why, like if that was the case, but I'm not 100% sure. But Jabari goes. He's going to the school. He's going to the school, has a conversation with his father about how he's moved a bunch of times, and he's sitting there being like, am I going to be able to stay here? Am I going to be able to not? And it's like, okay, like, yeah, sure. Like, listen, I know it's been hard that you've been moving around a lot, and it does suck, but I do want you to understand that, like, this is going to be the new start for us. This seems like we're going to finally be permanent, which is good, which is good. It was nice to see that little interaction with him and his father, actually see his family, which is cool. Goes to the school, and he meets two people. One named September and one named Liam. I think that's their names. Yes. And, like, he gets into, like, a whole little kerfuffle thing, all while we're seeing, like, some side stories with people in, like, the New Eden Police Department, which they'll play into play. We see some people doing like some just going about their lives, which they'll come into play. We see like a dude working at like a tech store and all that. So we have all these like little things playing around the world. I don't hate. That's not true. I was gonna say like the world building for me is kind of That's not my problem. I'm okay with the world building. I actually think this manga does a really good job at world building. Like it tells us a little stuff. It can get a bit rambly, but not at times where I feel like it is hampering the story. I think it does like a really good job in terms of like telling you stuff. If you need a little bit more explanation, he will just focus on the story. Will just focus on that a little bit and just hammer that out, which I think is fine. It's not too much of a big deal. It's kind of just like whatever. One thing. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta say this. I doubt, man. Okay. I doubt Cory will ever see this, right? I don't. If he does by any chance, please know that whatever I say it with like the utmost respect and the utmost kindness. There is a phrase that is constantly used in this manga. It's supposed to be a replacement for telling somebody to chill or to relax. A lot of the characters, when like someone's getting hyper or someone's getting worried or someone's getting like too hype, they'll tell them to ice down. Now, I will admit, I'm not a big fan of that phrase. And I think part of it is the fact that it wasn't used in egregious amount, which I think is good. I think it's good. If you're gonna have a new phrase and you want it to work within your story, I think not overdoing it is good. He pushes that boundary though. I'm not gonna lie. He pushes that boundary because it's the only thing any character says in order to tell somebody to calm down. Which again, it's fine. If you want to create a new phrase, I'm okay with that. I don't mind that at all. But oh Lord in heaven, you need to like balance it out with something else because this can't work, man. And like it almost got to the point where I did sit there and I'm like, Jesus, dude, you can't keep using this phrase. You can't keep using this phrase. We can't keep using it, dude. Like, it's so much. And it's like the only thing they say. I'd be okay if like they use something different every so often. If it was like, oh man, you need to ice down, or man, you need to like, you really like to ice it away, or like do that stuff. Like, cause like as people, we use different phrases, right? Because we say like, oh, you need to chill, you need to chillax, you need to relax, hey, you need to slow down, you need to mellow out. And like, if he did that and just did like different versions and abrasiveness of that, I'd be fine with that. I'd be okay with it. But he doesn't do that. It doesn't happen. What happens is he's just like, oh, like ice down, man. Hey, you need to ice down. Hey, you need to ice down. Ice down, dog. And it's like, stop. It's like, stop, please, don't fucking. Oh my god. And look, I'm going off first of all, I'm focusing way too much time on this. I'm focusing way too much fucking time with it. I can admit that. I just remember sitting there and being like, my god, like, please stop. And again, it wasn't even used that much. I am just someone who noticed that stuff, and it's just like, okay, I get it. We want to make this work. I understand. Please do something else. This is not working. You need to do something else. Because this is not working. So, I don't know. That was just funny to me. But Jabari goes to school. He like gets tagged along with Liam in September. Liam fucks around with him a little bit. September kind of breaks it up and all that stuff. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But Liam and September end up meeting and kind of fucking around with Jabari. But September ends up taking him into the building where we see another dude, really like burly dude who like fucks around with not fucks around, but he's just like he's like the typical big bully type of dude, like super tall, blonde, ripped ass jock that's like, you're in my way, pipsqueak. So he's like that type of character, which is like, okay, I understand what your role will be coming when this comes around. I understand the role that you will play, sir. I get it. I understand what you're going to be doing. And so September starts talking with him and like, talking with him being like, hey, yeah, like class is gonna be cool, goes to be fine. And he starts going off being like, oh yeah, man, like I just got a high score. I placed high in this placement test. And she's just like, oh no, that's not. Well, she's not like that panicky, but she's definitely like, you placed high? That's great. Hey, just remember her exact line is, hey, remember to be great, not perfect. And like, you'll see throughout this, there's a lot of characters that do warn him about a lot. And so he's told that he needs to do a retake test, which is actually like more of just a secondary placement test. It's one of those like, hey, we're just double checking to make sure this is actually true before we go ahead and do all this shit. And so he goes to take it, fucking kills it. The dude who's running it being like, all right, we'll see like how this is and if this is true and you know if it actually works that way. And no, he does do it. He does actually kill it. He's like, dude, strength, speed, physique. The one part where it says swag, like he kills it. And even Liam's like, I gotta say, you're aiming high. Just be careful, man. You gotta chill. And so like he's chilling, saying like, oh yeah, man, like I'm fucking killing this shit. This shit's lit. I'm the greatest. And this is the point where I'm not gonna lie, we kind of have to talk about Jabari. I will say this for brevity's sake. Towards the end of the volume, it does get better, and we do get a little bit of his humility, which I do appreciate. I do have a bit of concern. I do have a little bit of concern, but as like when I was at this point, when he was taking the test, when he was doing all this stuff, my main concern with Jabari was that he seemed like somebody with no real issues. Like, obviously, he has the issues of like, you know, he wants to do good, he wants to support his family, yada, yada, yada. We even get a scene with him at some point where, like, we can see that his power all has to do with sound, and he can hear a lot of people, and he's panicking over that because he's like, I can hear everything, and I can hear what people are saying about my dad, and it sucks. And so it's one of those things, like, okay, there is, like, a little tension. But this dude balls out so hard. And to be fair, he does have a reason to do that, that's why I'm, like, not completely hating. But, dude, he's almost... I felt like he was getting on the levels of Muhammad Ali Jr. from Baki. Now, if you don't have context for this, Muhammad Ali Jr. from Baki, from what I can tell, seems like he's one of the most disliked characters in Baki just because of how he's written. Because he is written as the smuggest, most pompous, most up his ass character that, like, exists. Honestly. And it's low key, not even deserved as much, because this man, this man, Muhammad Ali Jr., will go against some of the people that we see beforehand and, like, act tough as shit and just get his shit wrecked. But will always come back cocky. He doesn't understand humility. Until, like, the very, very end where he finally understands just, like, how unmatched he is with everybody. And I'm not gonna lie, Jabari was getting to that level. Now, I will admit, Jabari has a lot more to talk about because, you know, he's almost breaking school records as he's getting there. He already scored high. He's like, he has, like, the talent. He has, like, the provable talent and is showing off pretty fucking hard. So that's one thing where I'm like, okay, I'll give like this character Jabari a little bit of leeway, which I'm glad I did. I think I need to see more though, because oh my god. Like, I know people give, like, Sung Jin Woo a lot of shit for, like, oh, well, he doesn't really struggle, like, all that stuff. Which, let me just say, it's complete and utter bullshit, because he does struggle in the very first episode, and we do see him and he understands. It's just, we've already seen it. We've seen what he needs to do, and he's gifted that. But that's beside the point. I already made a whole video about solo leveling, so that's that issue, like, whatever. But, like, my thing with this whole thing, for me personally, when I see this, is this looks like a character that doesn't feel like I could rally behind him. Now, again, at the end, that changes a lot. Because I see what Jabari is actually about. I see what, like, his inner struggles might be. I see what they do a little bit, and it's like, oh, okay. And I will say, this story does set up a really, really good thing that maybe being as strong as you are and being as cocky as you are is going to thrust you deeper in the darkness of what New Eden is. So, there might actually be punishment for him being as cocky and as strong as he is. I mean, we will see it later, but if that is the case and that's the route they're going down, then I appreciate that a lot more. Because they even hint at that a little bit at certain points, which is actually kind of cool. I like. But we'll get to that at some point. So, he goes back into the principal's office because he's like, oh yeah, the principal wants to see you, now seeing your test. And he basically gets shown what New Eden's purpose actually is, which is, hey, all these students are these top students that have these special powers and these special abilities. They're the best of the best. And New Eden isn't just a school for learning, it's a school for all of us to go ahead and actually teach our students, like, to not teach our students, but to have these students fight for a better future. Which, I'm also glad they really did this. I like, Jabari actually is just like, no. Like, most people would be like, oh my god, like, I don't know what to do. I'm so conflicted. And I'm just like, I can see any other fucking manga or any manga character sit there and be like, my god, I'm so conflicted. Like, what do I do? Like, this thing, it's not great, but my, like, honor. And, like, it's just like, dude, you just fucking got here. You just, like, what responsibility you have? And I'm so glad they gave that to Jabari. Where Jabari just straight up is like, no, go fuck yourself. I just got here. I don't have any connection to this school or you or the people or New Eden. If anything, this fucking place sucks. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have any obligation to help you. Which, they do pull out like a, hey, well, if you don't help, like, your father's gonna be kind of fun. And he just started his job today. Which actually gives Jabari a good reason to say, fuck it, fine, I'll help. I'm so glad they did that. I'm so glad Jabari was a smart enough character to just be like, no, what the fuck? Why would I fucking do that? Why would I sit here and just help you guys? What purpose do I get for that? What ability do I, what do I gain to actually do that? That doesn't make any sense. That's dumb. That's dumb. That doesn't make any sense, and that's like what it is. So I'm glad that they did that. I'm really glad that they gave him that. And I'm really glad they gave him a reason to actually join. Now, here's the thing. Once he accepts that he's joined, he's told what team he's part of. Which, they do the whole, like, you could tell that there's, like, a ranking system. Because there's, like, Team Gamma, Team Delta, Team Beta, Team Phi. All that stuff using the Greek alphabet stuff, right? And obviously, there's the Team Alpha. Team Alpha, we've already technically seen. Because at this point, Team Alpha is going to get a monster that some members of the New Eden Police Department is also going after themselves. And the members of Team Alpha are Liam and Stephanie, Liam and September, that we saw messing with Liam beforehand, telling him, hey, maybe brother, you should probably go ahead and not attract too much attention to yourself, because that's not going to be a good way to, like, work around stuff. And we also have Han, who was mentioned very briefly, and I think he was also, like, in the beginning, where he knocked into the big, brawn, burly jock dude. So there's Liam, Stephanie, Han, and then there's another character called Alicent. I think that's how you say that name. And we only see her when Jabari is done with his test, and he overhears a conversation of people that sounds like they're talking smack, but they're not really talking smack. Bart is in, and we see proper Team Alpha in this, like, closet. And they're all talking about, like, I guess he is going to be part of our team. And it's like, this kid is strong. Too fucking strong. Like, holy shit. And so, Allison is just kind of the adversary to Jabari. Where Allison's just like, I don't like you. I don't like the way you act. I don't like the way you hold yourself. You're kind of a piece of shit. I don't like the fact that you're stronger than me. You ain't shit. You ain't fucking nothing. You're nothing. You're just nothing, basically. And so it's just like, oh, wow, well, fuck me, I guess. Like, holy shit. And so, this all happens, and Team Alpha is sent on the mission to hunt down what they call a leaker. Which we do see in the beginning, that there is a leaker that beats up with another leaker, which is the first leaker... Jesus Christ, sorry. Which is the first leaker that we see in the beginning of the manga where we see all that shit, right? The first leaker where he's talking to, where that we get introduced to as the previous mission that we see in the very first beginning of the manga. And so we see all that interaction, see all that good shit and whatnot. And so, where did they go? Oh, and so we see Team Alpha fight. They're like, we see people fighting. It gets a little tense, gets a little difficult at times. You know, it's like, oh shit, like you know, this is a tough monster. And then we see Jabari finally get a suit, come to the rescue for Team Alpha to help out. Now, before I will say, we do get the start of that monster, where it's the dude at the tech store who's trying to help sell like a phone to a girl, but it doesn't really work. He gets fired because of it, which is that's insane that he would get fired for it. It's like why are you getting fired for this? This is some old bullshit. Like, damn, man. Either way, he gets fired, goes back home. His wife gets at him. He's tired of it, goes sicko mode, and fucking kills his whole family. Okay, so as we go through all that, we go and yeah, cuts to Jabari and Team Alpha all fighting, doing all that stuff. Jabari goes in and Liam's like, okay, let's see what he could do. Like, let's catch our breath. Let's see what he could, like, what his powers can do and whatnot. And this is another point where I'm just like, oh man, you're gonna make me dislike this character. Well, not dislike this character, but be like, oh man. Where like he is touted as a savant. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not going to give you too much bullshit because you did say he's a prodigy, a fast learner. He kind of just gets things off the rip. They do set up Jabari as this dude who can just like, he's like, I could just do anything. I can pick this shit up and I can learn how to fight. Which does happen because he fights the leaker creature that Team Alpha was fighting at first, and does this like huge, massive blow that ends up just blowing a whole like hole in the ground. They fall in, and team go after him to rescue. And I do imagine they're just like, oh shit, dude, I'm surprised you didn't explode. You like shot your thing at half power, at like full power, and like you should have died. And the fact that you did not die is insane. And they're just like, and they're just like, whoa, hold on, I should have died. Oh, fucking hell. And so they're sitting there being like, okay, we need to hunt down this monster, and we need to go ahead and get like these other people, and get like the NYPD who got hurt during all of this, like to safety, because that police officer is on the brink of not feeling well, and you know, ended up going away, and they need to catch this monster, and because the leakers can transform back into humans, which is how they can like still hide. They just have a mark on them, which that's not explained, but it's one of those things where it's like not explained, but I'll give like the benefit of the doubt that that's just something that will be explained just later on in the future, which would make sense. And so they go to the underground city, which they confirmed there's a whole ass underground city, which I'm surprised no one made more of a bigger deal of. Like, they do mention, they're like, whoa, this is like crazy shit. But like, I feel like the idea of a whole undercity would be interesting. And to be fair, it's abandoned, and I am assuming like because it's called New Eden, and they even say it in the manga that like, well, there's New Eden on top, so this must have been Old Eden, which, you know, that does make sense. That would track logically on things that New Eden is this type of Eden, which would make perfect amount of sense. But then they go to hunt, and before that, they do have a little bit of a bonding moment, which I really appreciated a lot, where Jabari and Allison actually finally have like their little duke out because they've been at each other's throats ever since they got together in the group. Allison actually shows off like, and like, this is where I start appreciating Jabari a little bit more and what they might be doing. And this, like, the second half of the manga is like, okay, I'll reel back in my concern and hatred for Jabari because, oh, I see what you're doing with him. Where he's a cocky whatever you call it. He's a cocky prodigy who thinks he could do shit, but there are still things he's still sort of kind of unaware of. He obviously needs to learn how to work with people. He needs to learn how to, like, deal with actual issues within the world. I like that. I like that approach that they have with the actual... With Jabari as a character, because Alicent does actually beat him in, like, hand-to-hand combat so much. But surprisingly, also, is she's like, oh yeah, damn, I could beat him, but he should be a lot more hurt than he is, and it's weird that he's moving this way. And they all share their stories. Like, they basically show the fact of, like, where Jabari goes off, he's like, dude, I got fucking pulled into this shit. You think I want to be here? You think I want to be in this weird sewage place with a bunch of strangers and shit? And that's also cool, and I like that they address it too, where it's like, hey, dumbass, we don't want to be here either. You think we want to spend our, like, teenage years going off and dealing with this shit? Like, we want to hunt monsters all day? Like, no. We want to be kids. We want to be dealt normal. But we can't, because that's life, unfortunately. But that's just the hand that we're dealt with now. And that's just kind of what we have to deal with. And I'm glad that they addressed that. Because it was just like, oh, I was a little worried that they weren't going to do that. But they do. And that's good. That is really good, actually. And I'm happy. It also gives Jabari a little aspect of, like, right, I'm not the only one that has issues. I'm not the only one that has problems, right? And so they do get a little bit back more on track because Liam goes off. He's like, listen, we all want to get home, so how about we all try to help each other get home together? And he's like, you know what, bro? I can vibe with that. That's chill. And so once they get the underground city, they sense that the leakers in, like, a certain section of it, they split up into separate groups, where Jabari and Han are in one team. Liam and September are part of another team, and Alicent is just by herself. And I assume that's just because she can handle herself pretty well. And so with each section, Liam and September, they go down their own way, mainly because they still have the police officer. And September's powers is all about, like, nature and stuff like that, which I'll address again because Han and Jabari's part kind of goes over, like, you know, how that works and whatnot. So, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, what was I going to say? Oh my God. Oh yeah. September and Liam, they find a place where there's, like, actually an abundance of plants, which is so weird, given the fact that there's, like, concrete on concrete on concrete everywhere. And September, I'm getting my fucking things mixed up. September uses the plants nearby, along with her power, to try to keep the police officer alive, put him into a deep sleep, and, like, try to keep him alive as best as she can. She does mention the fact that, like, hey, just so you know, like, I can put him into deep sleep and that will sustain him, but the moment he wakes up, he'll probably be filled with a lot of, like, shock and other things. So we'll probably have to be pretty prepared for that when that happens. Which they're like, okay, no, that's fair. You're right. We need to be prepared for that when that happens. And so that's that whole shtick with Liam in September. And then most of this time is spent talking with Han and Jabari, because Han starts to explain to Jabari basically all the little ins and outs of, like, what they're actually doing and the things that he needs to know about. Where he talks about the suits and how it works and how it's like, oh, this suit is supposed to amplify the special parts of, like, who you are and, like, what you are supposed to do and, like, the aspect of everything that's supposed to do for the suit with your tuning. Jabari asks, hey, what's tuning? Zafira, sorry, I gotta shout it out. Zafira, I see you in there. Thank you for all the love on the TikTok live. We appreciate it. Very much so. Thank you for that. 100%. But yeah, Jabari asks, okay, well then what is tuning? Then Han goes to, well, when we're born, we all have to deal with we're all given some type of tuning or some type of specialty that we're akin to. So for Han, he's really good with tech and all that stuff. With Jabari, obviously it all has to do with sound, and because all of his attacks are sound based. With with September, she has nature, so she can control plants, trees, all that stuff. With Alicent, it's raw power, so she's just like a super freak of nature, like super strong. And then Liam actually keeps his super secret, but Han theorizes that his ability is probably some form of like premonition, of being able to like see the future or guess the future or whatever the fuck, right? And so Liam also sits there and he brings up, okay, that's the case, but you didn't really answer my question. Yes, I get that we have powers, but like what, like how do you know, how does that happen? How is that process chosen? How are we able to actually like pick our thing? Like how are our tunings chosen for us? And he actually gives like a straight up answer. He's like, dude, genuinely, I have no fucking clue. I actually don't know how that tuning works. And it's just like, that makes sense. Well, shit. And so, I think there's like more he explains. I'm trying to remember everything he explains properly. Because he talks about the tuning, he talks about all that stuff. We get like a sort of idea when it comes to leakers, but like not, he doesn't really explain leakers that much. He has these little cubes that are kind of cool. God, what else is there? What else? God, I think that's it. I would have to go back because I'm not gonna lie. That's the point where it like it drops like a lot of a lot of information on us. I'm just like, oh shit, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. I was like, God damn it, I need to remember all of this. Thank God I read it like in the last like day or two. So yeah, he drops all that information and whatnot, and they also do find Day, who is also was supposed to be a member, and I think he's specifically a member of Team Gamma, who originally went down there, but unfortunately he went off and he gets murked pretty badly and writes a thing on the wall. I don't know if it was him or the creature, but that does happen. Sophia, once again, thank you for the love, girl. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it very, very much so. 100%. I love the support so much. Yeah, but they do find Gamma, unfortunately. The last member of Gamma, who was Day. So he's gone. His SOS is still going off, but obviously he's gone. And so then we get to Allison. Now, Allison is at the point for herself where, oh my god, what was it? Oh, she by herself, obviously I assume since her tuning is raw power, they're like, we can leave Allison by herself. She can like fucking, worst case scenario, if she gets into this problem, she can probably hold herself off for long enough. But she actually is the one that gets hunted down by the monster, which I should also mention when they're also in the sewers talking, they also once again get jumped by that same monster, by the way. So that was like a shock to them. But Shibari has some fast ass reflexes for that too, which is insane. Which was insane for me to see. I was just like, God damn, that boy is fast. But Allison ends up going ahead and fighting the monster, and she actually like takes it really that's bad wording. No, that's bad wording. That was bad. She fights the monster and holds it off very well. That's a lot better. She fights off the monster pretty well. But obviously, she has limits to herself. Her suit's destroyed, and like, they all try to get to her at some point. Jesus Christ. But they do get to her in time. And we see the team up of all of Team Alpha jumping this monster, going ahead, using their powers. Liam takes out his sword. He's fighting. Fucking Jabari we see more of his ability to actually use his powers, which is really sick. He's going back and forth, doing this every which way, sideways. That's really good. Like Jabari is low-key locking in. I am actually quite surprised how much lock-in Jabari is doing to me, which is very surprising. Well, not surprising. They put him as a Vazan, so it's like, okay, of course he's gonna lock the fuck in. That makes a lot of sense. That makes perfect sense why he's going to lock in. It seems like he's got better control of his powers now, like by like a tad bit, enough to not like fucking blow everybody away. But they start jumping him, and Liam does something that could have definitely backfired, and it didn't. And even September at the last chapter brings up, what the fuck? Why would you do that? That's stupid. But also brings up the fact that, like, yes, I know that this had to happen, but also don't fucking do that again, please. No. Fucking no. For the love of God, Liam, don't fucking do that again. Where Liam starts bringing up the fact that he knows that this thing has, like, a family. And, like, it's like, oh, yeah, I bet you would kill your family. I bet you would go ahead and do that because you're a monster. And Jabari's like, wait, this thing has a family? Liam, what do you mean by that? And so, there's no time to really think, though. So Jabari uses his attack because he's like, well, I don't want my new team to get hurt. And the monster actually splits open. Like, almost like it's like a Titan from Attack on Titan. And we see the old clerk that was at the tech store. And he's like smiling. We see him. And Jabari's like, wait, hold on, that's a human. That's a human. And before Jabari could even process it, Liam's already in with the fucking slash, dude. Now, I really wish they lingered more on this scene. Because, like, this was the point where I'm like, oh, this is the point. Reality is finally going to set in for Jabari for what he's actually in. Like, how deep he's in the shit. And to be fair, we do kind of get that. I hate how they do it later. I hope we get more context to things. But we do see him, like, groveling over, like, this split head of, like, oh, that's a human. That is a human. This is a human. What we just, like, this wasn't just some random creature. This was a human. And so he's like, and all the team's like, yeah, sorry you had to find out about this like this, buddy. And so the whole, like, Eden High School system, they have a whole cleanup crew, which the coach is part of, and one other person, where, you know, they cover up everything, make sure everything's all fine and stuff. And, like, the coach even says, he's like, hey, oh god, it was like a play on words, or like a not an ad hominem. What the fuck is it called? It was like an alliteration, somewhat, kind of, where it's just like, you kill, we conquer, or something like that, or it's like you catch, we cover up, or something like that. Some arbitrary bullshit like that, right? And so, like, and you can see Jabari is still, like, in the truck, shocked. He has his, like, head down. He's like, oh man. Oh, what the fuck? September tries to help him a little bit. It snaps him back to reality. There goes gravity. And then, like, he has a little chat with Liam and all that stuff. And for some, I don't know. Okay, this one kind of bothers me. I don't know why. I do not know why. But apparently, they have capsules that come down. And they're giant. They're not like small capsules. They're giant capsules. And I thought it was just going to be like some type of healing thing. Brother, no. It just has their phones. Why do we need to send, like, keep in mind, I'm like 6 feet. Why do we have to have like a 3-foot capsule for just their phones? That's insane. But it does give us a little bit of a nice scene where Jabari picks up his phone and his mom's texting him like, hey, you were supposed to be home hours ago. What the fuck is happening? Where he cries and he's like, I'm gonna come home, Mom, don't worry. Which is like, sets in like, wow, I almost didn't come home today. That's insane. And so they all like meet up at a diner. At first it's like the like main four of Team Alpha, where it's Allison, Han, September, Liam. They're all kind of chilling. This is where September does confront Liam of like, hey Liam, you know that thing you did? Where you brought up the whole family thing and how you knew that? That could have fucking backfired, dog. You're lucky it didn't, idiot. What's wrong with you? Be careful next time. Which, yeah, I will agree. Liam, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Don't tease that. This is the second time this man has done that too. He sat there and he's just like, oh, yeah, like, I will, like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, Liam. Don't give your cards away. Why are you calling Jabari by his name when you first beat him? I mean, that doesn't make sense. Why are you realizing that you have information that you wouldn't know about? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, Liam. It does, I will say, it does build into the world. And to be fair, I'm not mad at the writing stuff. This is how I would react as a person. I like that writing. I like it's good. I like that Liam, while he also doesn't like working with them, he's just being a little loosey-goosey. I like that. I like that aspect because it's showing, A, that there's something deeper, that like, okay, he obviously knows who Jabari is before anyone else really knew. And he also knows information that the rest of the team might not know. It seemed like September did know. It seemed like September knew. But also, it seemed like she might have not known, but like knew later, right? So that was so that's like an interesting thing of like, oh, how did they find out that information? How do they know? Like, do you know when someone's going to become a leaker? Do we know when somebody's going to turn? Is it the fact that there's more to it than just negative emotions? Is it more than just people having a negative, obviously there's something to it that's like negative emotions. But like, it's like, ooh, okay. All right, I see you. This is quite interesting. I like this. Allison and Han, they both come out. Allison's like, yeah, I knew that loser Jabari wouldn't come, like, his first day. He's such a loser, only for Jabari to come. Seemed normal. I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of wish he was a bit more standoffish, especially after he like, kind of went off on his team, and I get it. They're trying to be nice with each other and stuff like that, and he's trying to actually get along now that he's basically in this really fucked situation. But also at the same time, man, like, you just saw somebody, you just realized you killed a human and you care about your family. Man, I get it. It's not too much of a nitpick, but it's kind of like, okay, fine, whatever. And so they're all just chilling there. It's the first time we actually see a lot of them act pretty normal, and they take like a picture to be like, oh yeah, let's commemorate, like, you know, like the new mid-year kid coming and us all having that. And it's a cute picture. It's nice. I appreciate it. I think it was cute. I think it was nice. I think it was awesome. I thought it was cool. So that's basically where it ends. The very last panel is that we see somebody watching over Jabari being like, it's the new Prodigy kid. All right, let's see how long he lasts. Oh shit, I just remembered actually. Okay, backtrack real quick because it is important. The reason why actually it was a very big point. I wish I remembered it. The reason why my feelings on Jabari became less negative as the manga went on is because when Han and Jabari are talking, when he's doing all that information dump, one of the things he does bring up is the fact that, like, he brings up that, like, oh yeah, kids are born with tuning. And when you have a certain level of tuning, you know, you become us. You become people that are New Eden, that becomes hunters. But when your tuning becomes too strong, or it becomes too potent, or it becomes too big, then that's when it gets to the point where you actually go and you get taken away. And it's just like, wait, what do you mean by taking away? And it's just like, oh yeah, like, you're just never seen, like, ever again. Like, you're just gone, disappeared. So that's why I didn't like super too much hate on the fact that Jabari was as cocky or as strong as he was, because it does seem like the more potent you are, the more powerful you are, the more your tuning becomes stronger, eventually you're going to get taken away. You like, being the strongest here, you don't want to be the strongest. Being the strongest puts way too much attention on you, and it seems like something will happen to you. So I suspect that is what's going to happen to Jabari. If he keeps going down the trajectory he's going. Which is interesting, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to hate on the, like, super strong, I'm going to do anything kid character. Because there might be consequences for how he's acting. Again, this is the first volume, so I'm going to give a lot of leeway. A lot of leeway to that. Especially since they're setting up stuff, which is good. Which is good, and I appreciate that. So, that is the fact. You either die here or live long enough to become the villain. Exactly. That's what I think this is going to lead to. I think it's going to lead to something of that sort. Of either being like, hey, you're really strong. we're gonna take you away, and you're either going to become our like big pet, or you are going to die right here. Like, you are going to not be useful, and we are going to make sure we ruin your life. That's what I think it's gonna lead to. And that's going to be very interesting with the dynamic of how, like, New Eden works and the whole, like the era of darkness they had, which I also have to question that, too, because they have, like, a thing where it's, like, the era of darkness and whatnot. But, like, the era of darkness is also... I think it was lasted 2 weeks. I need to... Hold on. That's something I can confirm pretty quickly. But I swear to God, like, they were just like, oh yeah, only kids that were born in like the dark age or like the era of darkness actually feel this way or actually have this power. And I just sat there, I'm like, wait, hold on. Isn't the fucking era of darkness, wasn't that shit like 2 weeks? The fuck you mean like this shit like happens? I must have misread it maybe. Maybe it was 2 years or 2 weeks. Because, okay, this is the beginning. Well, I'll actually read the beginning panel just for the fucks and giggles. In this metropolitan city, no building stands taller than the Sonata Corporation. From technology and pharmaceuticals to education, it is the most advanced company in the world. But more than that, Sonata is the hope of mankind. 17 years ago, darkness engulfed the world, forcing humanity to revert to primal instincts. Eat or survive. Eat or starve. Kill or be killed. No light, no electricity, no world order for 2 weeks. Okay, right. So it was 2 weeks. Again, my question, how many fucking kids were born in 2 weeks? Because it seems like there's a lot. Like, I get it, right? There are actually a shit ton of kids that are born, like, every day. Like, okay, hold on. I gotta do a little bit more exploring now. I need to check. How many kids are, like, let's see. How many kids are born in a day? Approximately 385,000. Oh, shit. Okay. All right, hold on. I take that back. Oh, I might have to take that back. Okay, hold on a second. 2 weeks is 14 days, right? Hold on. 385,000. I already know it's going to be a lot. Times 14. Okay, so that's a 5.390, and to be fair, that's if all of the kids survive. That's if all of the kids survive. But still, that is basically a small nation. that is basically a small nation of like, okay, I take it back. 2 weeks isn't okay. You know what? That is fair. 2 weeks is not insane. 2 weeks is not insane. If 385,000 kids can be born, and in that 2 week of darkness, 385 kids were born, then yeah. Even if it was like half that, that's still a fuck ton of kids. That's still a fuck ton. Wait, let me see something else. How many kids are born in the United States every day? 98,000 to 99. So approximately around, like, if we're being generous, 10,000 kids a day. Okay. 10,000 kids, what? 10,000, that's 140,000, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 140,000. Okay. Okay, that's not too insane, actually. That's believable. Okay. That was going to be my big contention of just, like, 2 weeks. Holy shit, dude. Like, 2 weeks, I don't feel like there's not going to be that many kids. But 140,000? Okay. I can believe that. That's like a city. Is that like a city's worth? I feel like that's basically like a city's worth. Which, in that case, okay, fine. I can make that believable. I can believe that. Okay. But overall, when I think of this manga, man, okay. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy reading it. I think reading it was fun. It was nice. It was cool. At the same time, I definitely was not completely impressed by it. Also, give me a second. I need to fucking reset my shit. Maybe not? Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. I'm just high. I'm just high. I'm just high. Hold on. Okay. We're fine. All right. So yeah, like it's one of those things where it was a good read. And, like it wasn't bad at all. Like I would not call We Make Monsters a bad story. It's a good story. And it's a good foundation. It's just like you definitely need a lot more, but there's nothing here that like there's nothing here that outright intrigues me, right? Like this is a story that I think it is a well-written story. It has pretty good logical consistencies to it, and it has a pretty like nothing turned me away, but nothing made me want to nothing wanted me to binge watch it. Like currently Volume 2 is out for this series. I'm not necessarily in a rush to want to read more We Make Monsters, but I know that I'm interested enough that I'm willing to go and like want to actually learn more about it. Like I'm willing to dive more into the world and see what it's all about and stuff like that, because it is interesting. It is cool. I'm not gonna lie. It is like a cool and interesting world. Just personally for me, I'm not that. It's not something I'm like, oh man, this would definitely be like I'm not gonna come home and read this every day. But if I'm on the bus or if I got some time to kill, yeah, I'll go ahead and pop on Volume 2. I'll see what's up. Or like, if I sit there, like I could be in the mood. Like this might be like a once a week read of like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and like pop in We Make Monsters. I'll check out the second volume and see what that's about. I'm not at like a full addicted point with this, and I think a lot of that is just like it's executed in a good way. A lot of everything it does is executed in a good way. The world building is there. The power system is okay. There's still a lot to learn, but they do set up a lot of things where I think we just don't have enough information for me to like really latch on to stuff. But I get that the lack of information is possibly tied in with important story points. So I'm going to give it a little bit of that leeway of just like, okay. Like, if I didn't think there was like a possibility and it was just being messy, then I would definitely be like, nah, I don't really give a shit. But right now, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way it's like doing stuff, and I'm okay with the way that like, okay, there's ideas you have, and like not everything's fleshed out, but that's kind of the point because it's probably tied to secrets that we really have yet for all of our characters and other stuff to reveal. One big thing about this, I will say, I think the pacing of this story is fucking awful. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry. There's times where I felt like, and maybe that's just because Cory wanted to get to the point where they were actually part of a team, but I would have liked it to linger a little bit more on the school life and all that, and maybe that's what we get in the second season. But I think I would appreciate him being in normality a lot more before actually getting thrust into this whole world. Like, I would have appreciated if Jabari actually was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to classes, I'm starting to make friends, yada yada yada, before actually getting ripped away from it, because he never got a chance to. I don't even think he'd been to a class yet. That's how like not attached to the school he is. Like, I'd at least appreciate some time of like actually going through the system and doing this stuff and whatnot and like yada yada yada. And like, I would also like some time for him to have actually, like, the fact that he shows up after Team Alpha does and they have their own fight and he's kind of let's come to the rescue. I don't like that. I think I would appreciate it more if he was actually a part of a team and like they got to train a little bit beforehand and like actually build some stuff and actually see that stuff. Like, I would have appreciated it more of seeing a little bit of that beforehand. And I took a peek at some of Volume 2. That does seem like more of Volume 2 speed. And I think this was more, I think if I were to be in Cory's mind, I think his idea was the first volume, let's establish what this whole manga is about, what they're doing, what the purpose is. Let's just set up everything in the first volume, and then in the second volume and then on out, we'll start actually like flushing things out for people. That's how I feel like Cory looked at that story of like, oh, okay, we're actually gonna like flesh out things, we're actually gonna do things, we're actually gonna like set up stuff, and then before we get to that point, we'll actually do things. So, I get his reasoning. I don't think it was the best option, but I can see like where in his mind when writing the story he probably had the idea for it. Again, it's not bad. Like if I were to give it a grade, which I would like to give these grades so I can have like an actual better, so I can actually chart out where things are. I would probably give We Make Monsters like a B minus. I think a B minus. No, that's mean. That's mean. I give it a B. I give it a B. B minus feels a little, because B minus was me. It would sit there of like, oh yeah, like it did these things, but like, but no, I think it's just like a solid B. I think it's a solid B manga. It's good. I'm willing to continue it, but I'm not in a rush to continue it. Like I don't know if I put it in like the oh, I'd love to do like a monthly recap of like everything that's going on and so forth. But this is definitely going to be like a, you know what, when I get to it, I get to it. I'm not in a rush. I can wait for story stuff. I'm not treating this like Jujutsu Kaisen, or I'm not treating this like Chainsaw Man, where I'm like, oh, I need to know. No, I'm not doing that. It's more of just like, okay, the story was good. I hope you flesh it out more. I'll be back at some point. Some point soon. I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, just put it inside, whatever. But it's like, you know what? Like now that I know that Volume 2 is out, I will go back at some point soon and like give it a chance to read. Because I'd like to see how he expands on the ideas he sets up. But in terms of like wanting to be like a sycophant for this story, no, it's not there. Not yet. But like, so, it is at least there for me. It is, like the interest for this and everything, it is there. I will admit. And I'm happy. I'm happy with what I read. Cory, you got yourself a good ass manga, man. Expand on their story more. Expand on your ideas more. I think this is gonna be, you got a banger on your hands, dog. I will admit that. I think you got a real banger. There's some things you need to fix. Pacing needs to be a whole lot better. Make Jabari a more empathetic character. It's funny. I talk like he's gonna see this at some point, and he most likely won't. But I think give Jabari a bit more struggle. But I see where you're going with it. It's things where like that. I think that's like the best way I can sum up my feelings. I have issues, but I can see if those issues will be fixed. It'd be different if like I couldn't see a path where I'm like, dude, this is just here to here and this is shit. What the fuck? But this is like I have issues, but in like a volume or two, I can see me like being like, okay, we touched upon this on Volume 1. You're expanding upon it. It was a good expansion. Okay, cool. And so, like, yeah, We Make Monsters. Giving it a solid B. B down the middle. Middle down B. I think that's what it deserves. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, but that's basically it for me. Thank you for sitting there for my yapping. I appreciate it quite a bit, honestly. Thank you for everybody who joined. I'm glad to be back on TikTok. I don't know if TikTok will screw me over again. Shout out to everyone in that chat. Zafira, you are lovely for doing the donations. And lovely for joining, along with everybody else who has joined as well. You guys are also lovely too. I need to decide what my next manga is going to be. I don't know what that is. I'll need to decide. I don't know if I'm gonna do another manga or a webtoon. You know what? I might do a webtoon, and I think I'd want to go back to a webtoon that I read a long time ago, because it was a while, and I'd like to go back and see how I feel about it. Because it was one of my favorites. Webtoon. Yes, I'm not. Even though it's called the Manga Cavalcade, I'm not just limited to. I am not just limited to mangas. I'm willing to do mangas, manhwas, webtoons, visual novels, and light novels. So that is all that I am willing to explore, because all of those are kind of just like not connected with each other, but all of those at least eventually do get some spin-offs. Visual novels are the ones I gotta be a little picky on, because there's some visual novels where it's way more interactive, and technically they're visual novels, but they're definitely more of a game. And then there are visual novels where it's like, oh, you're just a straight visual novel. Like, you have some interactive abilities, but you're just a visual novel. Like Danganronpa's like that middle ground of like, oh, okay, we need to explore, we need to decide whether this counts. I like going back to old reads and see how I feel about them. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. There's a few mangas out there where I'm like, I wanna be able to go back and see how it was, because the webtoon I'm thinking about is called Nanolist. I don't even know if it's still up there. I don't even know if Nanolist is still up there, but I would very much love to reread that. That and Boxer. And Unordinary are the three big ones. I also, at some point, need to read God of High School, because I watched the anime for that, and I was very hyped for the anime, and the first couple episodes for the anime were cool, and then and then after that, it just started falling off, and then the last couple episodes were just like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I would definitely love to go back and actually check out that story, check out those stories. But yeah, I'll figure it out at some point. But yeah, thank you, everybody, for joining me. I know this was a short stream, but these podcasts are going to be short streams. They're definitely going to be short streams, because they're just going to be episodes, and I can only yap about something for so long. But I am glad for you guys on joining me on my lovely discussion for We Make Monsters. For the YouTube crowd, or the YouTube crowd that will get this at some point, let me know what you think about We Make Monsters in the comments below. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of angry comments from people who are Cory fans who think I might have been a bit too harsh and a bit too nitpicky. Once again, thank you guys for joining. Have a great rest of your day, sweetheart. Have a great rest of the day for you, darling. I hope you have a wonderful day as well. But yes, you have a wonderful day. Everyone else have a wonderful day. All of you have an amazing time, and I will see you guys Monday, because I'll be streaming again on Monday, and I'll probably hopefully have a schedule out by that point too. I will try to be I'll try to be responsible and have a schedule out too. Yes, bye bye. Have a good day. Have a good time. See y'all later. Bye bye.